Hey students, how are you? Let's talk a little Great Gatsby. I'm going to do a quick review of chapter 4. I'm going to do or give you a little information for chapter 5, chapter 6, and a portion of chapter 7. This information is for the week of March 23rd to March 27th. You are responsible for reading pages, I marked it down, 86 to 137. Again, you are responsible for reading pages 86 to 137 of the novel The Great Gatsby. That is chapter 5, chapter 6, and half of chapter 7. Chapter 7 is really, really long, okay? So we've got to cut that one in half. Next week, we will be finishing up the novel. Your study guides will be due on Friday, April 3rd. Okay, that's next Friday. So continue to work on the study guide at your own pace. Each day I will be posting a daily question for you to answer on Google Classroom. It is imperative and necessary that you respond and answer that question that day to get credit for the day. I would prefer if you got it done before 6 p.m., honestly, so then this way I can get them graded at night, heck, I'm up in the morning from 8 to 12 to be here in case you need to contact me or whatever, just like regular school. So you should get up and answer the question, and this way I can get them graded quicker and we can get a better system going. So be on the lookout for that. Every day you're posting in Google Classroom and you are responding to get credit for the day. Okay, let's do a quick review of chapter 4, and I'm going to get you started, like I said, for chapter 5. A lot of stuff happened. In chapter 3, we had those very crazy, elaborate parties that were described to us, but now we start to find out the reason why Gatsby is having those parties. In chapter 4, Nick is a really, really busy man. He goes out to lunch with Gatsby in New York City. They run into Tom Buchanan. They meet Mayor Wolfsheim. Well, they have lunch with him. And then he goes and has tea with Jordan Baker. So a lot of information is dispelled to us in chapter 4. And that's why I told you guys it was imperative to annotate. I got a lot of messages from kids about annotating. I'm not grading you on that. I know perhaps some of your teachers in the past, you got graded on your annotations. That merely is to help and assist you with your essay and final test, which is going to be next week. I allow you to use your novel, so it's important that you mark it and take note of the events as they are occurring, the symbols as they are occurring again and again, significant quotes, significant character development. Those are all things that you want to annotate. Whenever you see something that's hitting upon a theme, something about perhaps the American dream or the corruption of the American dream, can money buy happiness? That's a question that comes up in this book. Your perceptions versus your realities, your public self versus your private self. Is love blind? Do you believe in love at first sight? There are a lot of issues and themes that are raised in this novel, The Great Gatsby. And those are going to be discussed more thoroughly when we get to the end of the novel. And in fact, right after chapter 8, the book finishes with chapter 9. And there will be some test questions that are going to be referring to that. So, in chapter 4, we learn about this gentleman named Klipspringer. That's a question on your study guide. And he is just really like a boarder that stays at Gatsby's house. So what we're supposed to pick up on in the scene that happened at the end of chapter 3 with the car crash with Old Owl Eyes. And to deal with this guy just living and staying at Gatsby's house, like kind of like one continuous party. He just stays there after one party from the weekend and hangs around. He plays a piano for Gatsby, which is going to prove to be beneficial in chapter 5, but in actually chapter 6. But no, in chapter 5. Yeah, no, in chapter 5 it's going to be beneficial. But in chapter 4, we're supposed to really pick up on the fact that these people are very careless. The Old Owl Eyes, the drunk who crashes his car at the end of chapter 3, this Klipspringer guy, the fact that Gatsby doesn't really care that the guy's staying at his house, all these people that just show up, they don't even know Gatsby, they just get drunk and wasted. They are very careless people. It's a very careless time period. And this is one of the themes, their blatant disregard for human nature, for each other. Like, how are people going to react? Or we're going to find out that not everyone has the best intentions about why they're doing what they're doing. Gatsby being one of them. So, that's something we have to ask ourselves. So in chapter 4, Jordan gives us the whole background of Gatsby and Daisy, and we find out that they knew each other way back in Louisville. And in fact, they were very much in love. And Gatsby got sent off to the war, and Daisy was upset and wanted to chase after him. Her parents said no. She ends up staying home and marrying Tom a couple months later. And we know what happens there. They have a kid, and that's just what he has a mistress, and there's all sorts of things that aren't good there. She cried. She was not very happy, but she moved on. She kind of left Gatsby in the dust, and we know that she chose money. She chose Tom and money. That's what Daisy did. Jordan tells all of this to Nick. We find out that Gatsby wants Nick to arrange a tea at his house so that Gatsby can come over and reunite with Daisy. So Jordan goes through this whole backstory and lets Nick know the whole story. On page 83, she goes on to tell Nick Gatsby bought that house so that Daisy would be just across the bay. Oh, crazy. So is Gatsby a major stalker? Perhaps. We'll see. At the end of chapter 4, Jordan lets Nick know that Gatsby wants Daisy to come and see his house and see his wealth. In fact, she states on page 84, I think he half expected her to wander into one of his parties, but she never did. So we learned that Gatsby was only throwing those parties really for Daisy, hoping that she showed up. And then we head into chapter 5. Okay, so in chapter 5, Gatsby and Daisy are going to meet. We'll see what happens. You keep reading. I will check back in with you tomorrow on Monday, the 23rd. I hope all is well in your world. I love you guys. I miss you so much. And be safe. Be healthy. Mrs. Darling will be posting something for you guys. Come here, Rox. On Monday for a little Mindful Monday. Instead of our journal, we're going to do a little something else. Okay, so be on the lookout for that from Mrs. Darling. Okay, be well, and I'll see you soon. Miss Fetch, signing out.